Bryon Smith looking for title number 1. Might it be Robert Smith? It's about time he was back in the winner's circle. Will it be redemption time for Jason Couch for last week? Or will Norm Duke get title number 20? How about Dave Traber, whose last title was in 1998? This would be title number 5. In 1959, the first PBA tournament was contested in Albany, New York. And again, this year, the PBA is back. Just outside of Albany in Latham, New York at the Bowlers Club, it's the PBA Empire State Open. And let's take a look at our Alka-Seltzer brackets and take a look at the 5 finalists for today. In our first match, it'll be the wild card match. A couple of Smiths will be going at it. Bryon taking on Robert Smith. In semifinal number 1, Jason Couch looking to redeem himself from last week, taking on Norm Duke, looking for a victory again. And, of course, Dave Traber will take on the winner of our wildcat card match. And along with Randy Peterson, again, I'm Ron Thulin. We are glad you're with us, and a good look at Robert Smith, the 28-year-old out of Simi Valley, California. He is up first on the left lane. 2 titles in 4 years on the tour.
Hold on to your hats. This is high-octane stuff coming at you.
This is Grip It and Rip It week on the PBA Tour. You're going to see in the bottom portion of your screen not only the speed of the ball, but also what board they are starting out. We saw 22 miles per hour at board 9. We'll try to keep track of that because it's interesting the way the players have been moving the last couple of weeks. And here's Bryon Smith, no relation to Robert. Leaves the 10. Bryon's had a little bit of problems on TV. He's 0-4, just averaged over 177 in his TV games. Highest finish this year, 3rd at Grand Rapids. As we take a look at the specifics on Bryon.
Cross lane at the 10 goes to a ball that doesn't hook. Plastic ball, straight and hard.
No problem. Well, Randy, let's take a look and see what the conditions are for the lanes this week.
Well, Ron, the last couple of weeks, the lane conditions have been very oily because of the length of the application. Some 42 feet down the lane. Forced the players to play in. You saw Jason Couch playing 6th arrow. The righties were way in here. This week, completely different story. Short run, 35 feet. Forced the players to play the outside part of the lane.
Well, you can see just how far outside Bryon Smith went as he picked up his first strike. And Robert Smith got in as the wild card. How about Bryon Smith and Steve Hoskins? 30 games, 19 pins. Only 19 pins out of 30 games separated Steve Hoskins from being here instead of Robert Smith. Shows you how good it was this week.
Yeah, the competition was awesome. The scores were up this week. Players had no problems getting to the pocket.
Don't do that, Rob.
Well, he has a great attitude. You can see again 22-9 for Robert Smith, but he has a great attitude. Sometimes he gets into a mode, Randy, where he feels he has to help the ball when he really doesn't need to.
And he did it right here. You heard him what he said coming back from this shot. Don't top the ball. And what that does is when his hand flips around the side with the rev rate that Robert Smith has, it causes the ball to break very sharply down the lane.
Hand behind it.
Hear him say it again. Keep your hand behind it.
Keep it behind it.
That controls the direction of the change of direction down the lane. With as much hook as we have this week, the players tried to throw it, not only throw it hard, but they really had to keep their hand underneath and behind it.
Here you see who Jason's taken care of. Jason Hurd, Bob Learn, losing to Bryon Smith last night late in a great match. There you go. Now he throws the ball about 34 miles per hour. Randy, most pros, what, about 18, 20 miles an hour?
Well, 34 miles per hour is max speed for Robert Smith. I don't know anybody in the country that can throw a 16-pound ball that fast. But I would say the average speed for average players, league bowlers, is about 16, 17. Average speed on tour is about 19. This week, Robert Smith's 22 miles an hour.
Well, one of the things that Bryon Smith telling us he's been working on is his mental game. You know, in the past, he panics when things like this happen, and it has bothered him. And he was worried about what people think. Am I going to pick up this spare? You can see who he's taking care of in the Round of 32, 16 and down to 8. But he too has been working with a sports psychologist.
I think the only thing Bryon Smith needs is to get one win under his belt. You're not going to do him missing spares.
Well, he did it last night, as a matter of fact, in one of his matches. Let's take a look and see how that happened at the pins.
Just caught too much of the 3-pin. Normally you get the ball a little bit right of that 3-pin and drive the 6 into the 10.
And that puts him down by 12 pins here in the early going. We're through 3 frames. Bryon Smith out of Roseburg, Oregon.
Bryon's got one of the best games, physical games on tour I've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Bonus makeup.
That'll help. Now, Robert Smith, one of the tendencies, I would think, Randy, when you're Robert Smith, you throw the ball so hard is you have a tendency to throw through the break points. Not so much on wood lanes, but on synthetic lanes. Is that a problem he has to be aware of?
Well, he overthrows and overhits. When the lanes are dry, he's got to be careful with the hit.
Much better. Keep his hand behind it. It will come back.
And now it's time for Dexter's Footwork of the Pros. Let's hear from 2-time champion Robert Smith.
The last time I made the championship round appearance in Taylor, Michigan, I used a number 4 sole with a number 2 heel. This week in Albany, with the wood approaches and being a little bit more slipperier than normal, I had to use a number 2 sole with a number 1 heel to create a little bit more balance and leverage to create the speed I needed to play this week.
Yo, little hold in there.
And that sole you're talking about, the Robert's talking about, is like putting buckskin on the bottom of your shoe. You're not going to slide a whole lot with that sole.
That's our Dexter Footwork of the Pros. Robert Smith has used those Dexter shoes to pick up a couple of wins on the PBA Tour. And to learn more about the best Dexter solution for you, talk to your local pro or visit dextershoe.com.
That's nice there, Ronnie. Bryon Smith taking advantage of that trip 2-pin on the left lane.
Right now, make a good shot.
You can see that Bryon's speed is about 2 miles an hour softer than Robert's. His rev rate's a lot lower than Robert's rev rate. Right now, Robert Smith's rev rate's about 463 RPMs. That's off his hand at release. Bryon Smith at about 347.
Alice strike will cut the Robert Smith lead down to 12. There you go.
Back in it. Good shot.
He is right. He is right back in it. Bryon Smith comes up with the strike, his 3rd in a row. He only trails by 12. Our opening match from Latham, New York. We'll be back.
Don't do that, Mike.
And we welcome back Robert Smith. He is riding a 5-pack, 5 consecutive strikes. Bryon Smith again, his 2nd open frame. He opened in the 3rd. And he opens again here in the 8th. This is what happened.
This ball gets a little bit right, just hanging on the edge. The ball just too far to the right, doesn't have enough friction from there. But here was a pretty good spare conversion, and the 6 goes right around the 10. Bad break.
That ball, that's a gnat's eyelash from going in the old trough there, isn't it?
It was hanging.
Now Robert Smith has the door way open. A strike will put him up by 39.
And again, we talk about it every week. Look at the consistency and the speed. He had the one hiccup where he got the ball, or got his hand around the side of the ball here in the 2nd frame, but his rev rate's very consistent. With a guy that has this much power, if he can keep his revolutions per minute within 30 to 40 of each shot, he's going to be in the ballpark.
Well, that's 6 in a row now. You know, we had a great shot, too, of Bryon Smith in the background. He's talking about, while the other guy's bowling, to try to just forget, block out everything. He's been working with that sports psychologist out of the University of Oregon, and he has to block this out because Robert's on a roll right now.
Well, right now, Bryon needs Robert to break a leg. Robert needs to do something disastrous here in the 9th and 10th to open the door back up for Bryon.
Strike puts him up by 59. Put in the books.
Well, you can really see that hand just driving right up the back of the bowling ball.
Yeah, good shot.
Speed of rotation off of Robert Smith's hands, incredible. He's actually back down this week, down to 430, 440, 450 range. Normally this guy's up around the 540 mark, 530.
Yeah, Bryon does regroup here a little bit in the ninth, but he is still trailing by a bunch.
Just ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah. Now we're heading down the home stretch of the PBA's Fall Tour, and next week we'll visit Eastway Lanes in Erie, Pennsylvania for the PBA Flagship Open, one of the great stops on the tour. Then, of course, we go for the richest purse in PBA history on March the 3rd as we bring you the finals of the PBA World Championship in Toledo, $120,000. Well, now the 7 becomes stubborn. And the winner is Robert Smith. That puts Robert up against Dave Traber in semifinal number 2.
You heard Bryon say it's tough to beat 280, and he's right. I just talked to Chris Barnes, Bryon's roommate.
Right.
He told me that Bryon went with a ball he hadn't used all week.
Oh, no kidding. Which is ironic because in the first 2 rounds of match play, he didn't move his feet, and he only used 2 balls the entire time he's been here.
Yeah, well, he used the same ball for 18 games of qualifying to make it to the round of 32. Never moved his feet in 18 games.
That's amazing. Then he changed it in the finals.
Well, obviously, it was something that he saw during practice he didn't like. Decided to go with this ball here.
Well, he's trying to end up on a good note. It has been a great week for Bryon Smith. The 28-year-old still in search of his first title. He is one of the nice guys on the tour. He is one of the guys that also works out a ton, too. He's got this great health regime. Wasn't his day today. Robert Smith, the winner. He's just going to keep this roll going, baby. Let's open a bakery here.
Yeah, we're going to have to change the pins in the back there because Robert's making splinters of them right now.
One top shot. At least I know what's wrong with me now.
Only one spare. That came in the second. Everything else, strike.
Again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but if you keep your hand underneath it, it cuts down the back end reaction. When you're a high rev player like Robert Smith, that's key.
He is bowling magnificently. Now, he's bowling well in this match. He's got to wait, half hour or so before his next match. What does he do? Because obviously he's hot. Most players don't like stopping during this.
I agree. I think you'd want to keep going.
Well, he's going to have to just sit and wait, though.
Sit one game out, regroup. Check out, see how much the lanes have changed from the time he sat.
Now they're asking for a reset. Robert Smith, already the winner of the wild card match. He'll advance to our second semifinal match against Dave Traber. But coming up, we still have semifinal match number 1. Norm Duke taking on Jason Couch. But right now, Robert Smith, he has already entered the winner's circle.
Welcome back to Latham, New York. It was an excellent first match for Robert Smith. 278. Bryon Smith comes up with a 201 as we take a look at our Alka-Seltzer brackets. And, of course, Robert Smith will advance to semifinal number 2. We'll be taking on Dave Traber coming up in just a couple of minutes. Of course, Jason Couch and Norm Duke, our match straight ahead. Once again, along with Randy Peterson, I'm Ron Thulin. And Randy, I tell you, talk about gripping it and ripping it. Robert Smith, everybody who is throwing it hard this week seems to be tasting success.
He was really getting after it. Yeah, Robert still has a lot more left in the tank. 22 miles an hour. It's nothing for this guy to throw it 24, 25 miles an hour consistently. The only thing that he has to do is keep his hand underneath it.
Well, of course, now we have a great semifinal match coming your way. Jason Couch taking on Norm Duke. Now, Jason Couch, he's another grip it and rip it, but he has struggled the last couple of weeks on TV.
He's really struggled with trying to lower his rep rate. And it's going to be real interesting to see what he has in store for Mr. Duke. Keep his emotions in check, keep the rep rate down.
Well, Jason Couch says he has some redemption to pick up today because he has not bowled well on TV. He's got his game face on, but can he get his first victory over Norm Duke on television? We'll find out. Semifinal match number 1 is straight ahead. Jason Couch looking for the victory. Norm Duke looking for victory number 20. We'll be back right after this.
Last week, Jason Couch became the 23rd millionaire on the PBA Tour. Norm Duke had already achieved that success. And now these two heavyweights on the tour are ready to heat it up here in Latham, New York in semifinal number 1. And I like what Norm Duke told us last night. Speed rules. And especially in this match again, huh?
And his other quote that I really like is, He will move at will and without fear.
That's right. He had his game face on last night, didn't he?
Norm's always got his game face on when he's in a match. He's one of the most intense players I've ever seen in match play during qualifying. If he needs a hit, you know, he's always in the zone mentally.
This is the battle of two bowlers from Claremont, Florida. Talk about the big banana. Wow.
Looked like somebody kicked it at about 50 feet.
My goodness.
Kicked it dead right.
How important is it for a player that feeds off emotion to get that first strike in a bag like Jason?
Well, I don't think it's the first shot for Jason. Jason said that, you know, he's always keyed up. He's always emotional. He's got a little bit of butterflies. But you're always going to have that early on. It's what happens to him in the middle part of the match.
Good chance to Duke. Oh, not a way to start. The bane of the pro bowler.
Norm Duke's going really straight with his hand right up the back of it. Getting that speed up into the Robert Smith zone, leaves the stone 8. Better now than on a 6, 7, 8 bagger.
Well, he has been very consistent this whole week. And the youngest man ever to win a PBA title did at the age of 18 back in 1983 in Cleveland, Ohio. He continues to work on the shoes. Now, last night we saw during the match play, he got stuck a couple times on the lanes. He would be coming up for a slide, and bam, it would just hit him.
Norm's always fidgeting with his feet and with the tape in his ball. But I want you to watch how a man that's about 5'4" generate all this power. He stands with his heels hanging off the back of the approach and uses his lower body to create momentum to the foul line.
He says he uses 6.5 steps, but that momentum allows him to throw it so hard for a man his size.
Said he squeezes it, he manhandles it and throws it hard, hand underneath, no turn.
Now, Jason Couch, he is more comfortable with longer patterns. This is a shorter pattern this week, but he has adapted to it. He said he adapted to it rather quickly.
Yeah, I think it's a credit to his ability. Had a little trouble at the foul line, using 2 different bowling balls. Let's take a look, see if we can see what happened on that shot. Boy, he just fell forward. It looked like too much weight forward. Loses it off his hand. Ball never grips the lane. Important thing here is to make the spare.
Well, he leaves the second open. Now, last week we saw him when bad things happened. As you mentioned in the stand-up, his rev rate started to go up, the heart rate started to go up. Is this the crucial point in the match for Jason Couch?
Absolutely, and we're going to take a look at his rev rate in frame number 3 versus frame number 1 on that left lane. See if he keeps his emotions intact. Obviously, a devastating second frame, but it's still early. It's not the end of the match yet.
That is the mark of a champion, my friends.
Boy, it looked like a carbon copy of that shot on the left lane. Ball buried in the 1-2. His rev rate actually went down on that shot. That's a good sign for Jason Couch.
It's a good point, because it went up last week, went down this week.
First frame, 432 RPMs. The third frame, 393.
Strike will put Norm up by 24. Straight and hard. That's the mantra for Norm Duke this week. You know, when Johnny Petraglia rolled a 300 game at the PBA National Championship in 1994, he won an additional $100,000 prize. This year, my friends, it is that and more, as the PBA professionals will bowl for $120,000 first place prize check at the PBA World Championships, live right here on ESPN, Sunday, March 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time.
That was a great show, Ron. We were actually sitting in Carolier Lanes watching that, getting ready to bowl a wheelchair benefit tournament. And it was Johnny Petraglia Open the next week. You could imagine what kind of welcome Johnny got when he came home after shooting 300. It was awesome.
And a little ball work by Norm Duke. Both players very deliberate.
Always fidgeting with that tape. But had a good feel.
Straight and hard and down.
Straight, hard, and up the back. Keeping the ball on line. This ball around the fourth board. A little bit of back end. Throwing it that hard with that much friction. That ball touches the 1-3. The pins are going to fly.
Well, he's now up by 34. Well, as we mentioned earlier in the telecast, our viewers have an opportunity to leave a question on the PBA website and have it answered live on the air. This week's question comes to us from Larry Smith. Well, here's the PBA website, pba.com. If you would like to leave a question, we'll read it on the air. We'll read Larry's question a little bit later on. I check that website every week. Yes, I do. There's a big vote going on now, too. We'll talk about that later. Well, Jason Couch, after throwing the gutter in the second and leaving that open, he has come on strong.
His rev rate now is actually lower the last two shots than it was the first two. This one was 399. Ball speed right about the same. Obviously a much better shot than he threw in the second frame. Keeping his emotions intact, learning from what happened to him last week in his prior telecast, applying it. Said he wanted to redeem himself.
And he has cut the lead down to 14.
Keep striking.
This is a different Couch than we saw in Vegas and also last week.
Said he wanted to redeem himself, Ron. Said if you want to be one of the elite out here, you got to be capable of making the telecast on any kind of condition. Versatility is a must, and Jason's done a lot of practicing, keeping his hands soft. Right now, he's trying to become disciplined mentally.
Well, Norm Duke is not going to back down. That's 4 in a row for him. And the lead goes back up to 24.
And here's a guy that has all the tricks, Norm Duke. And the one thing that Norm has is he's got the mental focus and the mental dexterity to take care of business. He knows what he has to do to get his body to perform under pressure.
You can see what Norm Duke has done against Jason Couch on television. He's got a perfect 2-0 record. You know, the moves he has made this week, Norm, have been small moves. He hasn't made big changes in any way he throws it, where he's standing.
And the reason why is because when you're playing this kind of line, you don't have to move.
Pesky 10.
Velocity about the same. Location at the arrow's about the same. That ball leaving the flat 10.
Last win came in Tucson, Arizona, back in 2000.
Just a pinch more hand in that last shot, and that ball carries the 10-pin.
Not a problem. Well, Norm Duke continues to have the lead. He holds it by 23 pins. We are through 5.5 frames. Jason Couch, Norm Duke, the winner will go to the finals. $40,000 on the line. Can Couch continue his string of 3? Or will it be Duke? We'll be back. Along with 12-time PBA champion Randy Peterson, I'm Ron Doohan as we welcome you back to the Bowlers Club in Latham, New York for the PBA Empire State Open. We have semifinal match number 1 underway with Norm Duke taking on Jason Couch. Different styles.
Well, it's a beautiful thing about the sport of bowling, the diversity in 2 games. Let's take a look at Norm Duke's game real quick. Go ahead and roll tape and stop it right at there. Norm's ball just a little above head high. Now go ahead and roll Jason Couch. Now watch how high this backswing is. Freeze it. 2 ways to create power. You do it Norm Duke's way with momentum and direction of the foul end, or you get a big high backswing. Go ahead and roll Norm Duke. All right, now freeze it right there. Norm Duke a little forward, but a little more straight up and down. Go ahead and roll Jason Couch. Now freeze it right there and finish. Look how sideways his body gets. What that does is allows him to feed the ball, get it underneath, and feed the ball to the left.
But the results so far have been the same. Jason Couch with a strike will cut the lead down to 13. He is working on a 3-bagger. Trails by 23 right now. Norm Duke can just watch after sparing in the 6th. Oh, I tell you, Jason is dangerously close. That thing is just teetering on the edge.
He's peeling it back from the edge.
That's confidence, though. I mean, you know, if you think you can do that, you know, we tip our hat to you.
Well, it's confidence, but it's also knowing and believing in your ability to make good shots to get the ball back from there.
I think he was the Rookie of the Year in '92. You can see, watch this. Well, if he strikes again, the lead will only be 3. This is after that near disaster in the second. Oh!
How about the rev rate, Randy?
Go down.
Rev rate was about the same. His ball speed was identical to the 5th frame. The location was the difference. This was a half a board to the right, or I'm sorry, a half a board to the left.
He can't afford a half a board.
No. That's why this ball came back late. Still not a bad shot. That ball could have struck.
Well, he talked about slowing down.
They need some help from that man right there, and you know what? Chances are you're not going to get it.
That's right. Ooh, that's eyelash.
Wow. He was like, wow, no problem.
No style points, folks.
That extra coat of paint helped.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Now he has to sit and wait. Talk about titles. How about Norm Duke looking for number 20? Already has a couple of majors in his bag. Jason Couch looking for number 10. He's got 3 majors, including the Tournament of Champions in '99, 2000.
Oh, boy, what a time for Jason Couch not to strike.
Oh, I know.
In the 7th frame, this match would have been a 2-pin match. Right now, watching the Players Bowl on this condition, it's kind of reminding me of that movie. I think it was Major League. Give him the heater, Ricky.
That's right.
Because that's all Norm's doing right now.
That's
Jason,
all it is.
Robert Smith, they're just throwing the heat.
Well, Norm has played out the whole week. Pattern has not bothered him in any way, shape, or form. Trying to take over that spot from Mac Brown.
Okay. What about Syracuse? You like Syracuse?
I live in Texas already.
Oh, that's right.
And Norm Duke, after sparing in the 7th, picks up the strike in the 8th. Maintains that 13-pin advantage over Jason Couch.
Mr. Boeheim in Syracuse is probably going
That's
to
right.
send you a nice letter. Thanks a lot, Ron.
No, I do like him. Don't get me started. Here's Jason.
All right.
He's probably the most versatile left-hander on the tour. Probably the most tools of any left-hander.
But I'd agree with that 100%. Plays in, plays out. Well, you could see at that shot when he posted it. As soon as it left his hand, his body didn't move. And that's what's making Jason a star and making him the caliber of player that he's lowering that rev rate. He told me last night, as you see this ball just go right through the 1-2, he told me, he says, Randy, if I wasn't working on lowering my rev rate for the last year, he says, at best this week I might have cashed.
You know, he's thrown what he called weak equipment this week. But he gives a lot of credit to the guys in the truck to get the balls ready and everything. He said the players have really been prepared this week.
Cut the lead to 3.
He likes it, and he should!
Yes!
Yeah!
Right now, Jason Couch going at a 240, can strike out for 245. Norm Duke going at a 228 pace. But Norm Duke can also strike out 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th for 258. It's going to come down to what Norm does in the 9th and 10th frame. Boy, that's
He knew it. He knew it. He started to pull back.
You saw it run as soon as it left his hand. He knew that ball was left the whole way.
There we see the 3-time champion right there, Parker Bowman III. Taking a look. 3-time champion here at Empire. Normie. Well, you could tell. Spun it around.
Looked like that hand rotated just enough to get the ball to go high. Now, spare here. He strikes out. He shoots 238. Jason Couch can strike out for 245.
What a turnaround would that be for Jason Couch? And that sets up the 10th for Norm Duke. Well, we were talking about Norm's hand on that last shot here in the night. Let's take a look at it again.
Let's take a look and see what we can see. See his fingers directly behind the ball. Looked like a little bit of rotation, and his hand goes back up underneath to try to save it. See, the other thing is Norm's hand in a weak position, or his wrist in a weak position, inverted position. That's to cut down on the hook. Something we'll talk about in the next match.
Well, that was a must shot, and he got it.
You see the players when they let go of it, when they're posting, meaning if they don't move, they balance on that left or right leg, depending on what hand they throw it. That's how you can tell when a player throws it really, really pure. Shots like that, you can just turn your back and walk back to the ball return because you know the ball's going to be in the 1-3. The only reason why you're watching it is to make sure all 10 go down.
Well, the man that has made a TV show in each of the last 14 years. That is incredibly difficult to do.
Norm Duke's been very, very good for a very long time out here on tour.
Needs it.
That forces Jason Couch to double in the 10th frame and get good count. That was a big hit. What Norm wants to do here is to get at least 7 to force Jason to double in the 10th. Anything less, Jason could strike 9 spare to possibly win. Don't look for this ball to be anywhere but buried in the 1-3 pocket. All you're doing is trying to say count. He's filled 9, gives him 237. That was the heater.
That got down the lane quickly.
Jason Couch taking a second re-rack. He's out of re-racks now, whether he's buying time or whether he doesn't like the configuration of the pins. Bottom line here, 2 strikes and 3 pins to advance.
It comes down to this ball right here. And he takes his time. Now, if you're going through a re-rack, Randy, it seems to me it's like calling a timeout when a guy's going to kick a field goal. Doesn't that bug you a little bit?
A lot of times players do it to ice their opponent if he's sitting on the bench, to take longer time, take more time. Sometimes players use it to regroup. Really testing the water. Take a deep breath, Jason. Relax. You got 1 more to go, but watch this. This ball is way out there. It's just teetered on the 1 board.
Wow.
And just comes sawing back.
He needs this and then a 3, and that will knock that man out. He has been on the edge the entire time. Paid for it in the second.
Shot by Jason Couch. Wrong to me. It looked like he took a little bit extra time on the approach once he got set. He took the re-rack, which gave him extra time, and when he got set up on the approach, he took his time.
Now he needs 3. Now remember, he had the gutter in the second.
Well, just
teetered on the edge.
The smart play is straight and hard at the head pin here.
That's what he's doing. Oh, what a way to finish for Jason Couch. Norm Duke did not lose this match. Jason Couch won it. There was a big difference, 245 to 237. Jason Couch has got the monkey off his back. He advances to the finals. Robert Smith standing by. He'll take on Dave Traber in semifinal number 2. We'll have that straight ahead. Now the excitement building here in Latham, New York for good reason. What a great semifinal match. Jason Couch ends up with 5 in a row to end things. The important 10th, getting that 2 in a row. And Jason Couch advances to the final 245-237. He will take on the winner of semifinal number 2. Dave Traber and Robert Smith, both for 5-time PBA titleist George Branham III. Life on the PBA Tour has its ups and downs, and he spoke to my partner Randy Peterson on what he has faced both on and off the lanes.
George, thanks a lot for being with us. Why don't you tell us how you got started in bowling?
My dad is a bowler. He started me at age 6 in Detroit, Michigan. And I was pretty natural at the game. And as I got older, I watched a lot of bowling on TV, and there was Mark Roth and Earl Anthony who inspired me to do it more. And as I got older, I decided that's what I want to do for a living, is to be a pro bowler. And it was a dream, and I never thought it would come true, but here I am, 17 years later, bowling, still.
George, what is your greatest accomplishment on tour?
Of course, winning our prestigious tournament, the Tournament of Champions, in 1993. I won the Firestone, and that by far was my biggest win of my career.
Tell us, how does it feel to be the only black man to have ever won on the PBA Tour?
It's a great accomplishment, but at the time, there was only 3 of us out on tour. But hopefully, it'll inspire, young black kids to come out and pick up our sport and do something with it.
George, what's it going to take to get more minorities out on our tour?
It definitely is the prize money. It has to grow because, you have the team sports where they make millions of dollars. We need to have players out on tour that become millionaires in 1 year, not in a career. And I think that's one of the major problems is they can't see themselves making a living at bowling like in tennis and in golf and all the other sports that take a lot of time and dedication.
When I was going to high school, I played basketball in high school. After basketball practice, I'd be the only guy that went down to the lanes to bowl. None of my buddies in high school bowled. What was it like for you?
Actually, growing up, nobody knew I bowled because I did that on the weekends. And if you don't bowl, you don't know anything about it. So they don't understand even the lingo of the talk of bowling. So no one ever knew until they saw me on TV in 1986. And they were stunned that I was doing that all that time.
And joining us right now is George, the pride of Indianapolis, Indiana. I want to know, do you throw it as hard as these guys have been throwing it?
Not this week, not even close, man. These guys are putting a lot of RPMs on the ball. I played them more inside, soft, roll, not a lot of speed, and maybe that was my problem this week, but I averaged 220, so...
That's why you're sitting here.
That's why I'm sitting
here with you guys.
That's why he's sitting up there. That's why he's sitting up here with us, too.
I didn't bowl this week.
And we have our semifinal match number 2 now coming up, and this is going to be a dandy. Robert Smith taking on Dave Traber. George is going to stay with us a couple of frames, and we'll break it down. Robert Smith.
One of our highest scoring tournaments of the year. George Bryon averaged over 220 and finished 39th. Wow. Here's a guy that can really bring it, huh, George?
Man, this guy has a lot of energy, man. He's unbelievable.
Ball change,
Last
too.
time I threw it there, hooked. All right.
Seems like they're a little tighter on the show right now.
This is definitely a ball change. It's not the same ball you used the first game. His speed is right around the same. Looked like it was a little left of target. He played the first game.
Oh, yes. Former All-American at San Diego State back in 1994. A great amateur career for Robert Smith, winning the U.S. Amateur back in 93.
Let's get it right. Get it right.
Here what he said there is get it right. What does he mean by that, George?
It means get the ball right off his hand quicker. He got that a little in, and the ball kind of laid off.
What's that going to do if he gets it right quicker?
It's going to hook like that ball just did.
Yeah, baby. No
Not that
net in the gutter there. It's going to hook like that.
We're not too far from Brooklyn, are we?
Boy, did that ball boomerang off the edge of the gutter. Watch this. Again, you see that speed being up over the 20s? That is just right of where Dave Traber wanted it. And he got the good break crossing over, tripping the 6 out.
That'll loosen you up a little bit.
That'll get that swing to loosen up.
Now the 39-year-old out of Woodstock, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. 4 career titles to his name. And no.
Denied. Hey, look, he tripped the 6 in the first frame. What do you think? He's going to back it up with a trip 4? I mean, let's not get crazy here. George, I talked to you, yesterday. You said you've been working on your release. I watched you in match play in Dallas. The players this week told me that the key for them was keeping their hand underneath it. And what did you find? What happened when you kept your hand underneath it versus going around it?
For me, I've been working on getting more side roll on the ball. So this week, the key was, I think, going up the back of it. I felt more comfortable going around it. I hit the pocket a lot, struck a lot, but my mistakes, they were opens. So maybe I should have moved right and played a more end over end, heavier roll, and less hook. But, you know, I felt more comfortable doing what I was doing.
Robert picking up where he left off. You, by the way, at the bottom of your screen, you can see where your favorite player wound up this week.
Right. That's all you got to do. The ball's going to hook. Don't tug it.
Hey, you see, we talked about the ball change. Robert's actually gotten a weaker ball than he used the first game. Why do you think that is? What do you think the reasons are behind that?
I think he wants to move further right into the dry and try to angle it up and tighten the line up a little bit more.
So when the lanes break down, he doesn't have to move left. He can keep it on line and stay out.
But he's got to watch it because he can leak it too far to the right with a weak ball. It'll fall off into the gutter.
Well, he's up by 10 right now, but he was doing what Jason Couch did, just teetering on the edge of disaster there.
Right now, Robert Smith's rep rate a little bit higher than what we saw Jason Couch use. He's right around the 450s. Dave Traber right around 286, 287.
Yes. There, Dave gets it going. The man who's made the final 32 the last 6 tournaments has been throwing good shots the last couple of weeks.
This is one of the things we wanted to talk about as far as speed of rotation and how a player goes from big hook to a small hook. Basically, if you look at the bowling ball and you draw a straight line between the thumb and the fingers, we call that the equator. At the bottom of the swing or at the point of release, the higher the fingers are above the equator line, the straighter you're going to throw it. And the more below that line, the more hook and the more power. Yes! Dave Traber, George, obviously a prime example of a man who's
what we're talking about.
That's right, Dave. We're talking about it. He's got less fingers below the equator line. His hand doesn't move a whole lot. Pretty much stays locked into one position.
Exactly. He's, you know, I picked Dave to go all the way through this field. I think he has the best look out of all these guys because he's going more direct, more speed. So if he does tug it, the ball's going to lay off. He's going to carry ticklers and high trip fours.
Yeah, he told me, Ron, this is his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Slinging it right up the G, he calls it. Chunk Stone, slinging it up the G.
There you go.
Straight from David Ozio.
He's swinging it.
That's swinging.
Okay.
Actually,
Well, the season-ending battle at Little Creek begins March 12th, and your vote in the Geico Direct Battle ballot will determine the final player in this limited 32-man field. George Branham III won the first week of voting. Del Ballard Jr. won this past week, and beginning today, there are 5 new pros on the ballot. You can cast your vote by logging on to the homepage, PBA.com, and clicking on the Battle of Little Creek link. And I encourage you to vote for my man.
yeah, come on. Everybody vote for Rand. Rand wants to go to Virginia for the Battle of Little Creek.
Hey, you got to go to me first.
All right, let's take a look. No, this guy, you don't want to vote. Don't put Rick, sorry. Richard will, no.
No.
This is the one you want right here. Please cast your vote, PBA.com. Vote for Rand the man, Battle of Little Creek.
And, of course, Chris Sand is on PBA.com right now, and you can talk to him. Meanwhile, semifinal number 2, Dave Traber, after sparing in the second, has 3 in a row.
You know, George, since January, Traber's made the top 32 every week. In fact, last week he went all the way to the round of 8, got knocked out, and here he is this week. And, you know, the funny part about it is everybody, you know, kind of rags on Dave about being real straight and this and the other. But, you know, the last 2 weeks, all the guys that bowled really good were the big bangers, the big hookers, because the shot was way in. Well, he almost made it last week. Here he is firing it up the G on the telecast.
You got a lot of confidence. You can play pretty much anywhere, you know, when you got it going.
That's it.
All right, George, thanks for being with us. Best of luck, my friend. Don't forget the big one, Toledo. 120,000 on the line. We'll see you in the next couple of weeks. George Branham III has been our guest. Dave Traber right now has the lead in semifinal number 2 over Robert Smith. The winner goes to the final. It started with 137 players. It took an average of just over 222 to make it to the round of 16, and we're down to our final 3 players. Semifinal number 2, Dave Traber, 4 strikes in a row. A strike will put him up by 11, taking on Robert Smith, who's working on 3 in a row. Ooh. Jason Couch already.
That's why.
That's exactly right. Jason Couch already into the finals against The winner of this. What happened, Randy?
Said he got it. He said he got it left. It looks on my CAT system. It's only a board left. But it looked like his hand kind of jumped around the side. Again, the key, staying up the back.
Well, he's going to leave the 7th open. That hurts, but it has been a difficult 2 months for this man. January 17th, his dad passed away, introduced him to the game, got him going on it, and it's been an emotional struggle for him.
Well, he said that he was real emotional when he was at home, but when he was out here, it was business as usual. Wants to win this one for his dad. His 3 brothers at home, Dale, Daryl, and Dean, they kind of kept in touch with him, let him know everything was going on, taking care of business at home. Oh.
Well,
His strength, the strength this week, though, watching him bowl yesterday especially, was his ability to regulate the speed. Yesterday we saw him just burying it. Earlier in the matches, he had to back off a little bit.
You know, the other thing was in his match against Steve Hoskins last night, he said he went through 5 different bowling balls, was down 2-1, finally found one that worked, shot 279, 279 to advance.
Now you see our amateur, how they did. Brad Angelo. He was the top amateur. 225 average. His league average is 238. He joined the PBA. He said he was going to join it if he cashed, and he did cash. By the way, Angelo's father, Nin Angelo, finished 12th in the 5th PBA Empire State Open back in 1963. Yeah! Now Robert Smith is hot.
We've seen Robert Smith do it all. A couple of months ago, we saw him lofting it over the left gutter cap, playing that deep inside line. Now he's piping it right around the 4th, 5th, 6th board.
Okay.
He seems more relaxed than we've seen him in the past. Does he look more relaxed to you, Robert? I mean, it seems like he's taking everything in stride.
He really does. You know, he's got a great ball reaction. You know, the other thing, we get a shot at his grip. It's called a Sarge Easter grip. It's his full fingertip in his middle finger, and it's a conventional grip in his ring finger. Take a look at that. A grip for his middle finger, no finger inserter grip for his ring finger. What that did was actually lowered his rev rate too.
All right, good shot.
High-powered player.
Good shot here.
Cutting down the rev rates so that you can control the change of direction down the lane, the back-end reaction.
Interesting way to start out. Oh, my! A strike would have put him up by 34, and instead he's opened the door and he re-racked.
What an amazing break. This ball looks like it's dead flush. The only thing he should have left was maybe a ringing 10. Leaves a blowout 7-10. Watch what happens when this ball goes through the pocket.
Jesus. Get one.
Oh! Doesn't happen a lot on tour, but when you throw this much power, anything can happen when the ball hits the pins.
The all-time PBA 7-10 split conversions on national TV. Mark Roth had one at 80. John Meza had it at 91, and Just Stay Rook also had it at 91. Hasn't been one since then. And it'll stay that way now. Now, if they both strike out, it will be a tie.
I like Dave Traber's position right here. Even though he has to strike out the 9th and 10th frame, he'll put all the pressure on Robert Smith.
Come on! Yes! Wow, 3 more. It's 3 more.
He knows it.
Ball looked a pinch high. Remember, he left a big spin on that lane. In the 8th frame, or in the 7th frame, rather.
You know, we were getting a resuscitator out for Dave Traber after that 7th where he left it open.
Make him work for it.
His heart's beating hard now.
Take your time.
Good point, though. Make him work for it.
You know, he's talking to himself, setting himself up mentally so that when he steps up on the approach, all he has to do is look at a target and throw it. The one thing that I talked about Dave Traber with this morning was back in the day when we saw the likes of Dave Farrar and Tony Westlake. When it came time to throw one for the week, the money shot, you wanted the guys that threw the high, hard one, and guess what? That's Dave Traber's strong suit.
In the 10th, very simple. Needs to strike out, put the pressure on Robert Smith, who can only now wait after leaving the 7-10 in the 9th. Didn't like it. Well, he got a break in the first frame going that side, not this one.
Well, and Dave Traber will be the first to tell you that that was a terrible shot.
And he just did.
Way left of target.
Threw it too hard.
That's around the 7th board. The ball had no chance to get there.
Well, he said he threw it too hard.
Robert Smith needs to fill 20 pins in the 10th frame to win by 1. Spare strike, strike spare. He's a winner. He will advance.
Boy, if he does advance, taking on Jason Couch, get about 4 more sets of pins. It's going to hurt. 20 pin fill means he just needs to get 20.
Spare strike, strike or spare. 2 balls, 2 frames.
Well, he's got to get this spare. And he'll need the strike, so he's not going to take the easy way into this.
And this is no gimme. Watch this ball, a little deflection when it hits the pins. Something that's not real familiar to a Robert Smith shot, given all the power that he has.
First things first.
Yes, sir, shooter. How you doing?
All right, now we've got a pin in the gutter. There's going to be a little bit of delay here. This may or may not help Robert Smith, but he still needs to fill 10 pins. He has to strike to win by 1. 9 spare, or 9. We have a tie. Anything less, Dave Traber wins.
Needs a strike to win. This is it. What a great match we had with Norm Duke and Jason Couch coming down to the final frame. And we've got another one here. The winner will be bowling for $40,000. Smith was #1 among the finalists in strike percentage this week. And he's got it!
Who wants some of that? Who wants some of that? Yeah. Come on. Come on.
Just a tremendous shot. Shows you all that raw power. That ball just buried in the pocket.
Who wants some? Come on.
Well, who wants some of that is Jason Couch. He is standing in the wings waiting. It is Smith and Couch, 2 of the heavyweights on the PBA Tour, 2 of the hardest throwers. They will be bowling for $40,000 thanks to this shot by Robert Smith. We are down to our final 2 players. Smith versus Couch is Robert Smith. The strike and the final ball in the 10th wins it. He advances to take on Robert Smith. Well, the ability to bowl under pressure and make a crucial shot to win has always been a big part of Pete Weber's game. But what is the secret to pressure bowling? Pete takes us through it in this week's Pros Approach. This year, the PBA Tour has been lucky enough to witness some amazing moments. From Hall of Famer Bryon finding the winner's circle in Las Vegas and ending the longest winless drought of his career, to Chris Barnes failing to strike in the 10th at the Long Island Open and losing out to Tommy DeLutz Jr. But perhaps the most memorable moment came at the Great Lakes Classic, where Pete Weber would define the word pressure.
It was one of the greatest games I've ever bowled on TV. I mean, that's probably the calmest I've ever been on TV as far as throwing the bowling ball down the lane. Right before I would get on the approach, I mean, as I'm putting my fingers and blowing in my thumb hole, I'm watching myself go through my approach, throwing the ball. So when I get on the approach and my hand's already in the ball, I have nothing to think about but go.
And boy, did he go. Pete would methodically and emotionally throw 11 perfect strikes before stepping up to the approach with a chance to make history.
I was so focused on shooting 300 after the 11th one that I made the mistake of not moving 2 boards left like I normally do in that situation. I did throw the ball slow, and the ball rolled a little bit quicker than I wanted it to, and that's why the ball went high and I left the 4th.
Most likely the pressure of a 300 game won't be on your shoulders, but almost every bowler at some point will need to hit that clutch shot. The advice?
When you need a key shot and you need a strike to win a game or a match or totals or whatever it is that you need to win, the less time you think about it, the better off you are. The more time you think about it, like I said, the more apt you're going to throw a bad shot.
Robert Smith and Jason Couch have had about 5 minutes to think about it. It is all on the line in Latham, New York. The title, the $40,000 first place prize check. It's On TV, Jason Couch 1-0 versus Robert Smith, but throw that out the window. This is mano-a-mano now. Both players very loose during the commercial breaks, joking with the crowd. Robert Smith said, I'm not tweaking my game. I'm just going to keep throwing it harder and harder. That's what he's done.
It's the recipe for success this week.
Again, Jason Couch. I'm telling you, Randy, you got to hold your breath. It's just...
Hey, when you're feeling it, you know, just getting it that close to the edge is not a problem. You're throwing it good. You're making good shots. These guys have been doing this for so long. It's, you know, it's like second nature for them. I think the advantage, though, has got to go to Robert Smith. He's throwing the same ball in both lanes.
Well, he's rolling it well.
Jason has to go back and forth using two different balls, but Robert Smith, the first game, used a different ball. You see these two shots in the first match. Semifinal number 2, different ball, same line. Goes to a weaker ball, so he doesn't have to move around on the lane. I don't want any of that. Really.
I don't either.
I'll just stay right here in my seat, and you just give it to Jason.
Robert Smith is in a groove, folks. And you know who he gives a lot of credit to? The youngster, Richie Allen. Says they roomed together last week in North Carolina. He said, Richie, because this young kid helped my mental attitude. He just reminded me what it was like to have fun and just get out and bowl and not think about everything. And it's helped him this week. He should give Richie Allen some of the cash, don't you think?
Yeah, I think 10% cuts.
I think it'd be good.
Not out of the question.
Not a little something for the effort.
A little something for the effort.
Here's Jason Couch opening first frame with a strike.
Two different balls.
Oh, baby.
I watched him in practice on that lane, and he went high the last ball he threw on that lane. You know, Ron, that season behind bars, it was kind of like my bowling career because every time I stepped out on the lanes, I felt like I was handcuffed.
I thought you were going to say you went right to the bar. A strike for Jason Couch, and he'll go up 10. How about that? 138,000 fifth, but if he wins, he'll move up to number 2 on the money winning list for this year, trailing Parker Bowman third.
Look out.
Whoa, boy.
A result of what happened on the right lane. Ball crossing over, going high. This ball wants to give room, as you saw Parker Bowman third, Jason's buddy, and the guy that used to own this tournament.
That's right. Look at that.
12th board out to the 1 board.
That defies the law of gravity. You know, Sir Isaac right now is saying, hey, man, that's not supposed to be that way.
Well, you better have power to create friction to get the ball back from that spot. A little shaky here, the last couple of frames for Jason. And that board that you're seeing, remember, that's at the arrows. That's not down the lane. Down the lane, Jason's ball is about the 1-2 board. At the arrows, that's where it's being located and being picked up, right just inside the second arrow. So good 10, 12 board swing for him.
Both players giving each other the opportunity. You know, Robert Smith was runner-up, of course, to Chris Barnes for Rookie of the Year, but the big 3 came out that year, Randy. You had Chris Barnes, you had Patrick Keeley, you had Robert Smith, and a lot of pressure was on Robert Smith and Chris and Patrick to see if they can play with the big boys.
Sure, you want to come out and show the guys on the PBA Tour who the top dog is.
G-Rack. All right, where'd my tape go?
Well, we have our PBA question of the week that you can get on PBA.com. We'll read it. This one's from Larry Smith of Memphis, Tennessee. Is there an age requirement to join the PBA and compete in PBA events? We'll have the answer coming up in just a minute. Or we have time right now. Randy, you can answer it.
Well, you have to be over 18, and if you're not, you got to get parental consent. You also have to average over 200 for 2 years. And it doesn't hurt to have some money behind you to allow yourself to compete week in and week out. If you're under 18, get a note from mom and dad.
Larry, by the way, for having your question selected, we're going to send you a PBA prize package. That ball didn't come back.
Damn it.
Yeah, it was a little to the right and a little quick and a little less hand, but it stayed on the lane. You can see that ball speed creeping up just a pinch, and that was a little bit further right than what Robert wanted.
Got to be careful here.
See, when you shoot the 2-8, you have that much power. The treble pin is the back pin, the 8-pin. But Robert could probably shoot the 2-8 and then another pin behind it. His ball's so strong, probably take all three of them out.
Well, here's a guy right now that's not only in a battle for this championship, the title, the money, but also he's in a battle for PBA Player of the Year. I mean, you talk about Parker Bone, you talk about Pete Weber. There's a lot riding on this for Jason Couch.
Jason's put in over 100 hours of practice with Richard Shockley, his coach, lowering his rev rate the last 2 years. That's a nice little carry hit there. He also made a grip change, Ron. He went to forward pitch in the thumb, which helped him to relax his hand. For those of you watching at home, you want to try to learn how to hook it like the big boys. Learn how to keep your hand nice and relaxed so you can make that snapping motion at the bottom of the swing. Get the fingers underneath or in the bottom of the part of the ball and translate or make the weight transfer from the thumb to the fingers as fast as you can. That creates revolutions.
This is to go up by 12 if he is able to strike. The power of the lefty against the power of the righty. We are in the finals in Latham, New York. And after 5 frames, right now, Jason Couch is our leader by 12. We'll step aside for the finals from New York right after this. Jason Couch up by 15. Robert Smith, after opening up with a couple of strikes in the first and second, went 3 spares in a row, including a 3-6-10 in the 5th, but then he struck in the 6th. Jason Couch asking for yet another re-rack in this game. Now, let's just talk about his speed and also the boards.
Here's the one that went Brooklyn, 16th board. He comes back on that lane and gets it 2 boards to the left, goes dead flush. Too far left and too firm. He told us yesterday, Ron, that to separate the men from the boys, you have to be versatile on our tour. And the big question mark for Jason Couch is, can he hold it together under pressure? It's easy to revert back and overthrow and over-rev it.
Because he has to stay aggressive in this situation, but he has got to be careful not to get too pumped up. He's able to pick up that spare, and there's the proprietor here at the Bowlers Club, Carol Judge. Carol has been a gracious host this entire week to all of us, and we do thank Carol for her hospitality. They've been very kind to us this whole week. I like it.
She loves the players, loves the bowlers coming in here to Latham. She takes good care of the guys, enjoys having the PBA tour here. Here's a guy that likes bowling here. Of course, his partner, Parker Bone III, really liked bowling here. Look out.
Oh, he got another break. Finished 3rd here last year. That's not good enough this year.
It's been a long time since I sat in the booth. My hands were sweaty, but every time I watch Jason Couch let go of it, you don't know what it's going to do. If it's going to hold on to the lane, this ball gets way right, or excuse me, way left. Comes in a little light. Gets that great break and trip in the 3-pin.
Now Robert Smith can strike. And we are getting tight here in Latham.
Still throw a little harder.
Take a look at what Robert Smith's done on the right lane. The last 2 balls that didn't strike, he got it to about the 8.5 board at the arrows. That shot was the 12th board. He's made an adjustment on that lane. That adjustment worked. Obviously, that ball going dead flush.
Strike will put him up by 6. Doesn't rely a whole lot on mechanics, mostly feel, and he says he's going to throw it harder. That's what he did again.
It's go time. Don't leave anything in the bag now. It's on.
That a hook.
Well, Jason on the right lane. Let's take a look at the last couple of times. There's Brooklyn. Well, now he has a chance with a strike. He could go up 4.
It's a fine line between getting it too far to the left and throwing it too hard. It's got to be right in between that.
Oh, my.
And that was a good shot. That was the one he wanted.
Good shot. Good shot.
Well, he knew it was a good shot. All the way over to the 14th board. Speed just a shade over 20. Speed has been under control the whole day.
He's really maintained his rev rate, which is exactly what he wanted to do. He's kept his rev rate in the low 4s. Exactly what Coach Shockley's worked with Jason on. Keeping it under control, under pressure.
He's only down 6. Robert Smith working on a 3-bagger. Robert will be stepping up in the 9th. This is Jason's 9th.
Jason can strike out for 238. Robert Smith going at a 224 pace. Wow, that looked like a good shot to me from where I'm sitting, and that ball just never hooked up to the 1-2 pocket.
That's 2 in a row. He said good shots.
Had to be firm. Had to be firm.
This ball didn't get it near as wide. Didn't make it back.
Yeah. Lane's trying out?
Well, I think they may be changing a little bit. I think they're starting to get just a little finicky to where, you know, just a pinch hard or soft and the ball wants to, you know, go too long or jump through the nose.
Well, he picks it up, but he still finds himself in a hole because if Robert Smith strikes here, the lead would go to 17. With only 1 frame left.
With a strike here and a clean 10th frame, meaning any mark, Robert Smith's going to win his 3rd title on the PBA Tour.
Won the U.S. Open in 2000 for his first, then won in Erie. Closing in on $40,000.
All he needs is a clean frame, Ron. Any spare strike will do.
Right now, let's get it done.
No, he hasn't bowled well in the new format, but he's lost a lot of weight. He was up, you know, 230-ish. He's 207 now. But he says he's a better bowler. He doesn't have the pains in his knee. He doesn't have the hip pains. He has better control over his momentum because of the loss of weight.
He's gotten focused and just rededicated himself. You just can't make a better shot than that man made right there. Right around the 2nd arrow, and this ball is perfect.
Jason not even looking.
Keeps his hand right up the back, which he only made that mistake once in the 3 matches that he bowled.
All he needs to do now, Randy, is stay on the lane.
Keep his foot behind the foul line. He's a winner.
Tough luck again for Jason. That's all he needed. Robert Smith will win his 3rd PBA title. Jason Couch bowled his little legs off today, but it was not enough. Robert Smith, the hot man today. He wins the PBA Empire State Open. We'll be back to Latham.
Robert Smith, what a fantastic finish, winning your 3rd PBA title. Tell us how you feel.
It's been a long time coming. First off, I'd like to thank Storm. But the biggest thing was it's just been since 16 months, and the last time I won was where we're going next week in the area, and it just it feels good. It's been a while, and it's good to be back up on top.
Tell us what was going through your mind, your mental frame of mind when you needed to get up in the 9th and 10th frame and perform.
Just throw it hard. Just don't back off it. Just let it go. I mean, the couple times I threw it kind of bad, I just got a little soft and got around it, and those 2, I was just going to say, okay, if you're going to do anything, throw it too hard, and it just worked out good for me.
Speed, the secret to his success. Ron, back to you.
All right, Robert Smith is the winner, 243, 226 the number. He's the Empire State Open champion. Be sure to join us next Sunday at 12:30. We bring you the finals of the PBA Flagship Open from Erie, Pennsylvania. Coming up next, ESPN's salute to Black History Month continues with Finding the Fairway. Once again, congratulations to Robert Smith. For Randy Peterson, I'm Ron Thulin. We thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.